We care about foreign affairs because we're interested in the world. As John Donne said, no man is an island. We are connected to the main. That's a wonderful poem. Do you know it? And it's very true about all things, but it's also true that charity starts at home, and we shouldn't care more about faraway places than we do about our own place. It's true. I think one of the reasons people like talking about foreign affairs is it's actually sort of it's unreal in a way. You can have all sorts of opinions about someone else's place on the other side of the world because you'll never have to be accountable for your ideas. It's like an abstraction. It's like a hypothetical. But what goes on in our own neighborhoods is obviously vastly more important. I think that's one of the common sense rationales for Canada first, America first, any country first policy. You can care about things on the other side of the world, but you must care about your home more. And I think one of the most unnerving things about the terrorist war in Israel is that it is reverberating here in Canada because we have tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas, militant is probably the wrong word, activists, people who are cheering the torture, the rape, the murder, people who are using words like intifada, which means pogrom or riot, who use the chant from the river to the sea, which means to drive out every Jew, extirpate and exterminate every Jew from Israel. Some of them go so far as to say things like gas the Jews, like they're just going full Nazi. And so I think my bigger worries about this war aren't just that I hate terrorism and I support Israel, the only democracy in the region, and that I am appalled by the brutality we've seen. Look here. Thousands of people at the Sydney Opera House. They're shooting flares at it, by the way. They're chanting attack. They're chanting gas the Jews, Allah Akbar. They're chanting these things. Fuck the Jews. They're burning flares. The Palestinian flag, the Lebanese flag. I don't recognize all those flags. I understand there was a Hamas terrorist flag as well. When you say fuck the Jews, you're not talking about Israel, because there's Jews in Sydney, there's Jews in Toronto, there's Jews around the West, and you're showing the true nature of these groups are not actually about Palestine or about the Gaza Strip. As I mentioned before, Israel withdrew every last soldier, every last citizen. They even dug up the Jewish graves in Gaza and moved them to Israel proper. 18 years ago, Israel left the Gaza Strip. It has not been occupied. And yet Hamas continues to attack Israel from there. It's not about ending the occupation. It's about killing every Jew. And they say that. You saw what they were saying, death to the Jews. When they're rioting, when they're in San Diego, I don't know if you're able to call up San Diego and China. Let's do that for a second. That Hamas terrorist in Qatar, while Antony Blinken was saying, we really appreciate you guys, he was recording a video saying, all around the world, we want a day of rage. And Hamas supporters around the world listened. San Diego, wonderful city, couldn't be further away from Israel. Like, it's so far away. It's far away geographically, it's far away politically, it's far away temperamentally. Like, San Diego and Hamas couldn't be more different. And they just saw some Israeli on the street and they beat him up. Just throw that video on the screen. pro-Palestinian protesters beat an Israeli protester in San Diego. They just swarm him. Do you think that if they could, do you doubt that they would kill him? Maybe cut his head off? If it was a woman, do you doubt they would rape her? I mean, they have said these things, and they're out celebrating others who have done these things. Why would you not believe them? Here's another image of that. Look at that. That's in San Diego, which should concern us a lot. But even in China, there was an Israeli diplomat, and he was just stabbed on the street. And it was captured with a camera overhead. You can see that there. Just stabbed. Just attacked with a knife. You know, I saw a tweet today, and it was pretty simple. It said, you know what 3 countries don't have to worry about this day of rage? Hungary, Poland, and Japan. Hungary and Poland are near each other. Japan is not, but what do they have in common? They do not have mass immigration of people with different ideologies and worldviews. They just don't. I think I told you yesterday I was in Hungary this summer, and I went to an enormous synagogue. Door was open. There's no cop there. There's no metal detector. And I said to a Jewish teenager, I said, what's it like? And the words he said were, it's easy to be Jewish in Hungary. In fact, I think the World Jewish Congress had their convention in Budapest and said the 2 best cities to be Jewish in Europe are Rome and Budapest.
By the way, we're sending a reporter to Israel, Avi Yamini. In fact, as I speak, he's boarding the plane in Melbourne, Australia, to fly with our cameraman, Benji, to Tel Aviv. He's there to tell the truth about the war. If you want to help us crowdfund his economy class airfare from Australia to Israel for him and for Benji and for their hotel costs and other costs, we're trying to find him a bulletproof vest, for example. Please go to thetruthaboutthewar.com. That's the special website we've set up, thetruthaboutthewar.com. From downtown Toronto, well, uptown Toronto actually, in front of a line of police, this is Ezra Levant for Rebel News.